The homeless situation in California just got a lot more interesting. Hey, everybody. You're watching Bull Boom, Bear Bust. We're back with another dose of economic reality. Let's get into it, folks. I mean, we've seen the steadily worsening of homelessness in California and many other states, but California is the top state and the leader for the number of homeless people. But it's about ready to get a lot worse, right? So let's talk about this first. And then we'll talk about the big picture, and we're going to hear from a few people that are actually homeless and some people that recently became homeless, right? It's going to be very interesting here, today's report here. From this headline here, LA Times, expected loss of federal funds could push thousands of LA County households into homelessness. Local officials say more than 14,000 LA County residents in subsidized permanent housing could be forced into homelessness. So what's happening right now is federal cuts. Now the states are pushing back against this. There's lawsuits happening, a lot of things behind the scenes happening here. But just like the headline says, this is expected. These are expected cuts. Not it might happen or there's a possibility it could happen. This is expected to happen. And we're already seeing widespread carnage here in California with homelessness. Just a little bit into the numbers here as far as California goes. That's where I'm from. California has the nation's largest homeless population with 187,000 people experiencing homelessness in 2024. It's going to be interesting to see when the 2025 numbers come out. I think it's going to be probably the biggest leap that we've ever seen as far as the number of increase homelessness. Continuing, a significant portion of whom are unsheltered, sleeping outdoors, tents and cars, etc., so not counting the people in shelters. The crisis is driven by lack of affordable housing, compounded by medical issues like mental health, substance abuse, things like that. Mostly of us know the story, the backstory behind it, so I won't get too much into that. But what's it going to look like here in the streets, folks? I mean, I'm already seeing lots of streets with tents lined up in San Diego, LA. I'm sure you've all seen the videos where tents lined up down the streets, folks. We're going to hear from a few different people giving their take on the situation, including someone that recently became homeless. And to me, this is very concerning because someone can go into a situation and not get out of it. In other words, an unexpected bill, a job loss. And when most people are living paycheck to paycheck, barely scraping by, I think a lot more people are on the edge or the verge than most people would expect here. Take a listen to this, then we'll talk about this on the other side.
Engage with the video. It helps my family out. We're homeless. How did we end up homeless? Well, I'll tell you how. In early September, I had a stroke, and while I was in the hospital, my employer terminated me. I'm 50 years old. I have a 6-year-old boy, a 7-year-old boy, my wife, and myself to take care of. And they cut me loose when I was finally able to tell them. Only like a day later, hey, I'm in the hospital. They said, too bad. They didn't care. To make matters worse, I worked for an apartment community, and they evicted us last week. It was humiliating. It was the worst experience I think I could ever recall in my life. And they're contesting my unemployment, which I think is just really, I don't understand why. I don't get it. But somehow, by the grace of God, we've been getting by, getting us into stable housing. And that's all I'm trying to do is keep my baby boys warm, their bellies full. And, this is a terrible time of year to have something like this to happen and to have to live this way. But by the grace of God, somehow we've got by. And he's taking care of us. We maxed out our credit, exhausted our savings. I mean, we've done everything we can do to keep going. And like I said, somehow we just are getting by.
All right, folks. So you heard what he said, a job loss because of hospitalization, right? And he worked for an apartment complex, right? So maybe this wasn't even some big mega company or maybe it was, maybe they own a lot of apartments and it's somebody at the head of a big corporation, that made this decision. But it's hard to imagine you go to the hospital, you're in the hospital, you don't have any sort of work protection. He didn't say what state he's in, but it looks like there's snow in the background. So it looks like a very cold area. So different laws, different states, but he didn't have any protection, it sounds like. And they're trying to deny him unemployment. Wow. And he worked for the apartments. So they probably gave him some sort of housing, maybe as a deal for being an employee. Maybe he was a maintenance person. I don't know. I'll have to go watch more of his videos. But he said it was humiliating getting evicted. And imagine you work for the apartments. You know a lot of the tenants. Maybe you're a maintenance person. I'm sure they see you out on the grounds. And most people probably know you. Then they see you getting evicted. Horrible, horrible thing to have to go through. But many people are facing this, folks. And I know a lot of people don't realize how bad it really is out there because they see the news. The news says record holiday travel, record holiday spending. Folks, the people that have money are spending more than ever. That's a lot of what's keeping the markets propped up, keeping retail sales strong. That's what's propping it up, folks. The people that have money are spending a lot of money. The people that have credit, not even money, but people that have borrowed money and people that have credit cards to swipe, they're keeping the economy propped up. So it's a combination of the mega wealthy, right? The multimillionaires, even the billionaires spending money. And then the people that are not millionaires, but just have credit. That's what's keeping the economy propped up right now. But a lot of people, just like this person, barely scraping by. One job loss, one emergency expense could lead into homelessness.
If I didn't do what I do, I would believe this is AI. It's almost impossible to believe that, if I didn't do what I do, I would believe this is AI generated. It's just almost impossible to believe that humans would allow people to live this way. I am in the middle of by far the largest homeless encampment in the state of Washington, and it is just shocking. I'm speechless. The homeless say very rarely do people come out here and actually help, and they've just kind of created their own large city. And I would say this is the second largest homeless encampment I've been to in the United States.
Just wow. This is enormous. Olympia, Washington. Lots of rain. Can you imagine being out there in the rain? I'm going to play some interviews coming up as well with some actual homeless people. It's going to get very interesting. Just keeps going and going and going. He's brave for being out there. I wonder if he's by himself. Hopefully he's got someone else to kind of watch over him if something happens. You could step on a nail. Someone could jump out and attack you. Like, there's all kinds of things that can happen out here.
All right, so what is your name?
Michelle Renee Guadagnoli.
Where are you from?
San Bernardino, Highland, California.
Originally?
Yes.
All right. Can I ask how old you are?
I am 35.
Okay. And how long have you been out here in the homeless area?
I'd say roughly like maybe 4 years.
About 4 years?
5 years going on.
Okay. And what are the circumstances that brought you to being in the situation of being homeless?
Just like, family dying and being left alone.
Being left alone
Yeah.
by like family members that you might have depended on, like
Yeah,
parents.
Mom and Dad died. Yeah.
Your mom and dad died?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all right.
Were you young when that happened?
Not really. It was when I was 22
About 20.
roughly.
Okay. And so is it rough being homeless, or have you guys learned how to?
It started and it was like excruciatingly not acceptable, and then it turned into being all right, and then it turned into being like a routinely circumstance, I guess.
Yeah.
So you learn to deal with it.
Right.
You do the best. You know?
Right. And I was going to ask.
It's real humbling.
Humbling.
You learn how to like really go with nothing, and from there you appreciate the smallest little things.
The smaller things, right? Yeah.
Jesus Christ was a homeless man.
Absolutely.
It starts here.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who pretty much have everything they need that don't appreciate it. Maybe if they could come out and maybe live in your shoes, or
I feel like
they would probably appreciate it more.
Should do this before they graduate high school. It should be like a criteria met.
Right.
They really will appreciate things. Like it's a lot doing this. It's cool.
Do you stay pretty cold? Does it get cold at night?
Freezing, dude.
Freezing?
Like to where you're shivering. I didn't even feel like I was gonna be able to walk again. Like sometimes when it gets so cold, you can't even feel your toes when you wake up. You don't put a blanket on, you're like literally freezing.
So you probably got to put a bunch of blankets on there.
Like 4 or 5.
About 4 or 5.
Bare fur.
Okay, all right.
This is California, folks, San Bernardino area. She said that she gets so cold. She recently got so cold that she could barely feel her legs. She didn't think she was going to start walking again. I think that's what she said. And this is California. Imagine a colder state than California. Wow, let me just rewind it. Is that what she said? She couldn't feel her legs. I think she said that.
I didn't even feel like I was going to be able to walk again. Like sometimes when it gets so cold, you can't even feel your toes when you wake up. You don't put a blanket on, you're like...
She felt like she wasn't going to be able to walk again. Wow. Let's continue.
About 4 or 5?
Bare fur.
Okay, all right.
Thank God I found it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hand sanitizer, you put it in a little milk
What's
dish.
that? Oh, okay.
Put it in a little milk dish and light the fire. Hope
Right.
God your house don't burn down, but it works.
Well, whatever works, it's what you have to do. So, but anyway, it was nice talking to you, and I hope things look up for you guys.
I thank you kindly, sir.
You're so welcome.
Say bye, Josie.
All right.
Wow. Just to go back a little bit here, you can see she's got some money in her hand. The people that do these interviews, like the guy that's asking her questions, they'll usually go out, give him like $10 or $20 and say, hey, can I ask you a few questions? And the people, I'm sure they're happy. They'll get $20 for maybe talking for a few minutes. But it's very interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on this particular channel and follow up on this. Now, her story seems very interesting. I'd like to find out more about it. She seems able-bodied. She seems like she's not strung out, like she's not out of her mind. She seems very sensible. Seems like she could work if she was in a different location. So I'm wondering what's going on here. Is there more to the story? Anyways, got a couple other to get into, a couple other first-hand accounts of homelessness. Take a listen.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
23. And are you originally from Arizona?
No, I'm not. I was born and raised in San Francisco, California.
San Francisco, California.
Yeah.
And what brings you out here?
I moved out here like a while ago, like 9 years ago, to live with my grandparents and stuff. So, because my mom, she couldn't handle, raising a child by herself. As a single mom, it was pretty hard on her, I guess. Because she had me when she was 17 years old. So, I guess not everybody's as strong as others. Can't handle it. Things like other people can. But it's okay. I had a good childhood growing up, My grandparents did everything they could to make me happy, and I don't regret anything that I did, or, take anything for granted that they did for me. They actually gave me a really good childhood, I was a very spoiled child. I lived really good. We always had a nice house. I lived in a house growing up, not an apartment or anything else like that. In a big house, with a pool, everything. I was a very happy kid, I grew up very happy, so life was good back then, but you know, it didn't stay that way forever.
And are you homeless right now?
Unfortunately, yeah, I am. I'm homeless right now.
How did you end up homeless?
Man, my grandfather had gotten cancer. He had gotten esophagus cancer. He had gotten esophagus cancer about 3.5 years ago, and paying for all his treatments and all his necessities that he needed when he was home and stuff. It was very expensive, and it was really hard for my grandma to pay for everything. So, I helped her pay as much as I could. Everything that I could afford to give her, I gave her. So, after a while, money runs low, and fucking we couldn't afford to pay for rent anymore, and we ended up losing our house. So when we lost our house, we were living in and out of different hotels and stuff like that, and that gets really expensive, super expensive. Like I had a lot of money in my savings account from growing up, from like birthdays and Christmas and fucking working and shit. But after a while, like all that shit, it dried up. I spent it all. I even had my own car, and somebody had stolen my grandmother's car when we were staying in a motel. And it was like Northern in the I-17 over there at the La Quinta over there. Somebody stole my grandmother's car, so I ended up giving my grandma my car so she didn't have to walk anywhere or take the bus. And it got really stressful being in a room with all three of us together in a small little room, and so I get really bad anxiety, in small spaces, and so I ended up, leaving the hotel where they were staying at and going across the freeway, just on the other side, and getting my own room, and I was able to pay for it for a while. It was easy for me to keep my own room by myself. For like $50 a day was, that ain't shit, This thing, because, people aren't just too trustworthy out here, And I didn't know nobody over here because I didn't grow up on this side, or anything, so I don't really know too many people on this side of town at all when I first started staying over here. So I was staying with complete strangers, and people they're very convincing. So
where do you go? This is what I did when I was homeless. If worse came to worst and I had nowhere to go, I would find a playscape. Underneath each playscape, it was dry, protect you from the rain, and it allowed you to post up sometimes for the night if you had nowhere else. However, that wasn't my go-to. So every apartment complex has a pool, right? Every pool has outside bathrooms. I'd come in, lock the deadbolt, throw my bag down, and I would just post up here in the corner just like this. Truth is, if anyone's walking by here at all, they're probably not thinking there's a homeless person in here. When it was time to go, get my stuff ready, prepare for the outdoors, and get out. When you choose to live on the streets, that's the sad reality of your situation. Let's say it were you and it's 30 degrees and rainy outside. Where would you go if you were homeless?
Now, I wanted to play this guy so you could think about, and I'm sure you may have thought about this at some point. I know I have. Have you ever just imagined or thought about what it would be like to be homeless? Where would you sleep? What would it be like? Would it be freezing? What would you do to stay warm? Would there be any safety, any safe place to go? Would you have relatives you could stay with, right? I think about these things a lot because, again, a medical issue, bad turn of events could happen to a lot of us. And my wife always tells me I'm a doom and gloom thinker, that I'm always thinking the worst. I don't really look at it like that. I look at it as getting ready mentally for something that is possible. Do I think it's going to happen to me? No. Do I hope it happens to me or anyone I know? or love, no, I hope it never happens. But I always like to think about things as a possibility, right? I never like to rule anything out or say something's impossible that'll never happen, right? Anyways, what do you guys think about this? What would you do? How would you survive? Would you live with relatives? Would you be in the playground under the play structure like he talked about, which I'm not sure how you would stay dry under that. Looks like a lot of different holes in the platform. Anyways, what do you guys think about this? Let me know down in comments on any of these stories that we heard about, just the situation with the funding being pulled back. How crazy is it going to get in 2026? And do you see what's going on in your state? Let me know if it's different in California. If you let me know, either way, hope to see you down there and see you in the next video as well. Bye for now. Peace.